If you don't want to be like everyone else, then you have to make the sacrifices others aren't willing to make. That's what my mentor told me when I was in my early 20s, and it stuck with me ever since. I started out with no qualifications and no money, but I still managed to become a multimillionaire, and a big part of that was due to avoiding the 7 things I'm going to share with you today. The first thing to avoid is working for only money. Imagine for a moment that you got a boring but well-paid job. You quickly start stacking some nice cash as your earnings grow. Your friends will think that you're absolutely killing it, and your parents will probably be pretty proud too. However, over time, your earning potential would start to plateau. This is path A. Now imagine instead you get a challenging but lower paid job. You might struggle for a couple of years as you improve and adapt. You may even struggle to pay the bills. Your friends will probably think you're falling behind, and your parents may not agree with the path you've taken. However, over time, your earning potential will start going through the roof. This is path B. So, what's the difference between these two examples? Well, path A prioritizes money early on, whereas path B prioritizes 2 key things: skills and equity. Every self-made millionaire I know has followed path B, as it's the only way to build that kind of wealth. As I mentioned, I left school at 16 with no qualifications. However, I immediately went out looking for jobs and actually got offered more than 5 opportunities. So I had a big decision to make. Which should I choose? I decided to become a carpenter's apprentice. The pay wasn't great, but I knew the skills I'd learn would be extremely valuable, so I prioritized those. There was no way I was going to get equity in the business, but at least I was working for more than just money. That job taught me a lot, and although I was forced to quit after being relentlessly bullied by my manager, I still use many of those skills today when I'm designing my best-selling brand of radio-controlled planes that I sell across the world. By learning a wide range of high-income skills, it makes it almost impossible for you to ever be broke again, as you become your greatest asset. I like to think every job I had when I was younger added to my skill set like a Swiss Army knife. Nowadays, I'd recommend prioritizing online-based high-income skills such as copywriting, video editing, and coding. The demand for these skills is only growing, and I can speak from experience that there is a huge skill shortage at the moment. Sure, there are lots of people doing those things. However, 99% of them are just not up to standard. Honestly, your competition really isn't that tough. Now, let's move on to the second thing, equity. This just means owning a percentage of a business so you can benefit from the profits. My radio-controlled model brand is a perfect example of this. You can gain equity in a few different ways. The most obvious way, and the way I did it, was to start the business myself. However, you can also gain it by working for it if you're extremely skilled in certain areas. This is known as sweat equity. Lastly, you can purchase equity in certain businesses, although I wouldn't recommend this as much unless you have the skills that can help accelerate that business forward. My friend Simon Squibb often goes around in public telling people to start their own businesses or ask for equity from their boss. While I 100% agree with the sentiment, you need to have some self-awareness with this. Firstly, it's worthwhile working for someone to gain skills before starting a business of your own. Secondly, you need to be realistic. I didn't think for a moment that I'd get equity in the carpentry business when I was an apprentice. So, when you ask, make sure you have a solid case for why you deserve it and how you can add value to the business instead of just taking from it. You need to first focus on becoming someone worthy of equity. The main takeaway here is that too many people get blinded by money, forgetting the importance of skills and equity. This is the biggest trap. The more you obsess over earning just money, the less you'll likely make in the long run. The second thing to avoid is buying a luxury lifestyle. Picture yourself cruising through Dubai, sun-drenched streets in a bright yellow Lamborghini. You pull up to a swanky restaurant and order a 500 fillet steak without batting an eyelid. How does imagining that lifestyle make you feel? Pretty successful, right? Well, here's the truth. Most people you see living this way are far from successful. The majority are paying for cars that they can't afford, taking trips to Dubai on credit cards they'll spend 5 months paying off, and ordering steaks at Salt Bay's restaurant that leave them with a bill they can't handle. These people are living a lie, pretending to be rich while drowning in debt. It's all smoke and mirrors, as it's much easier to impress others on social media than build real wealth. Seeing people live these luxury lifestyles might tempt you to start playing the flexing game too, as you feel like everyone is living a better life than you. However, this is far from the reality. In fact, 37% of Americans can't afford unexpected expenses over $400. 39% worry they can't pay their bills, and 60% of American households can't afford to buy a new car. Once you've made your millions, you can buy whatever you want. That's the point of becoming wealthy. However, in the early days, you can't live like a king and build wealth at the same time. Instead of buying depreciating items like flashy cars, designer clothes, and dining in expensive restaurants, invest in assets such as stocks, shares, crypto, and real estate. These assets will increase in value and generate income that you can then use to do whatever you want.